Here's our director of scouting, Craig Buttons. Stephen Caldwell had to leave. Craig slides right into the expansive Studio 9 lounge chair. Feeling pretty comfortable? What do you think?
I am feeling comfortable. I'm always comfortable here. And, you know, the Euro's starting on Friday, and nobody does it better than Stephen and Kevin.
I know.
Can't wait to watch it. It's going to be a fantastic tournament.
It's going to be great. Scotland taking on the host Germany this Friday right here on TSN to kick it all off. Stanley Cup final kicked off on Saturday night. Edmonton got a ton of chances, but no goals. You know, we've been hearing the players talk for the last couple of days, and they don't seem that discouraged about it because they did get a ton of chances, and they just couldn't beat Sergei Bobrovsky. Is that the right approach? Is that how they should feel?
Yeah, I can't believe you pronounced Bobrovsky the way you just did. Like I was expecting more enthusiasm. But anyway, you know, there's a lot. You can always be encouraged about the way you played. But when you get an opportunity like the Edmonton Oilers had, where you can say we played well enough to win, the bottom line is you didn't win. So it's encouraging to know that you did some things that were really positive, and the good players had some of those really good chances. But you're also looking now at the math, and the math now says Florida needs 3 wins to win the Stanley Cup. Edmonton still needs 4. When you get to this point in the season, and certainly the Stanley Cup final, you can't look back at wasted opportunities. So when you consider how well they played and the opportunities that they had, and their good players had the opportunities. It wasn't like it wasn't their top players getting the opportunities. So the fact of the matter is, getting those opportunities was good. But if you look at the third period, Jay, when Florida took their game up a notch and Edmonton really didn't have as much, now if that's the case for Florida just getting better, well, that means Edmonton's going to have to be better. You can't just come back with the same game. You're going to have to find ways on the margins to find improvement and get the puck behind Bobrovsky.
So if you're looking for signs of encouragement, you know, what did they do well in game one, other than their big players getting those big opportunities? What else did Edmonton do in game one?
Florida is such a ferocious forechecking team. And if you cannot alleviate that forechecking by the Florida Panthers, you're going to be in all kinds of trouble. But the way they were able to alleviate, they moved the puck quickly, they were moving with speed through the neutral zone, and that backs up the Florida Panthers. The Florida Panthers aren't just a great forechecking team, they also control the neutral zone. And the fact of the matter is, the Edmonton Oilers did a really nice job of moving the puck quickly out of their own zone, alleviating it, and then moving through the neutral zone, because Florida is so good at reloading, and even if you get out of your own zone, they close you off. Edmonton in those first 2 periods had a lot of great looks and had a lot of great opportunities. Keep building on that. Try to finish on your opportunities. Easier said than done. They know that. But I think that that was a really good positive sign for the Edmonton Oilers, being able to work the forechecking away from the strength of the Florida Panthers.
You know, you and I talk about how we actually do call Twitter X now. So X... Oilers X. I want to call it Oilers Twitter, Craig, but I'm calling it Oilers X. Tend to get pretty upset at the Darnell Nurse, Cody, Ceci defense pairing. There's been a number of different pairings throughout the course of this postseason. We've seen Darnell play with Brett Kulak a lot. But in game one, it was Nurse and Ceci back together again, and they happen to be on the ice for the 2 Florida goals. You know, should the Oilers be concerned that Florida is aware of that maybe is a defensive pairing that hasn't been great for Edmonton this season, and they might exploit it if they keep them together? You're
always looking to find the soft underbelly of an opponent. So the Florida Panthers are absolutely going to be trying to exploit it. I think Cody Ceci is getting tagged along with the poor play of Darnell Nurse. Darnell Nurse is capable of being a pillar defenseman. He has not been anywhere close to his abilities and capabilities in these Stanley Cup playoffs. So everybody goes, oh, Nurse Ceci. I mean, you look right here at this goal. I mean, like the front of the net is where you got to defend. Like, what are you looking at, Darnell? This has been a problem for Darnell these entire playoffs. And doesn't matter who's been playing with him, Darnell has been the constant and common denominator there. He's capable. He's so competitive. He wants to make a difference. I think at times he tries to do way too much. Just less is more. If I'm Chris Knobloch and Paul Coffey, less is more, Darnell. You don't have to be chasing outside the dots to the boards. Be aware. Just take a position and put a stake in the ice.
Yep.
Don't be trying to move around everywhere. It's like he wants to do 5 things on one shift, and all he does is get himself in all kinds of... He creates more of his own problems than the problems that are presented to him. That's where you got to get steady, stable, and just get a little bit calmer in his play. If he does that, there'll be no problem. There'll be no talk about it. But when he gets busy, he creates problems for himself and the team.
Sergei Bobrovsky, 33. Is that better?
Yeah, it's way better.
33 save shutout in game one. You know, Craig, the teams that earn a shutout in game one in a best-of-7 Stanley Cup final, they hold an all-time series record of 6-2. I don't know where Hound Dog comes up with a stat like that. That doesn't even seem like a stat. It seems like something he just made up.
Well, we can fact check it. We can fact check that, right? And so what does it mean? I mean, it means something until it doesn't mean something, right?
I mean, I guess it means if you got a shutout in the first game of the Stanley Cup final, you have a pretty good chance of winning the Stanley Cup, which makes sense.
Listen, you need 4 wins in the final. They got 1. I don't know. I know this. The team that wins 4 games in the Stanley Cup final wins the Stanley Cup 100% of the time.
And that's why Craig Button is our director of scouting.